convoy, everyone says Entello, the head of Damanhur's Academy. And we also please accept the recording because this allows us to send you the access to the registration. So you need to click OK so that this can happen. And I see that everyone can see me. Welcome to everyone. A pleasure to see you here tonight. Says Entello. I'm Entello Chiodino. I'm the responsible for the Damanhur Academy. And today you're here because you're interested to listen the topics regarding alchemy. The School of Alchemy, the Alchemy School, is one of the schools of Damanhur. And as when September starts, always the open days happen, and the open days for the Alchemy is a window, a magical window, and synchronic, where you select yourselves people who are interested in these topics. Maybe people already treat these topics already in their lives, or people who are curious, who for the first time hear about these topics, but feel recalled by these topics, by these themes. These are these moments when we open the doors of our school, in this case, the Alchemy School, so that you can experiment the energy, the value, and the quality and the knowledge which is transmitted inside of our pathways. And you will feel in a different way in this historic moment of, and it's determining this attention to its give to your own evolution, to your only personal growth, and to find the right pathways and to transform yourselves, to guide us in a new world which allows us to be not overtaken by the social and spiritual happenings around the world, but being protagonists, magicians. So in this context, we'll learn this. We'll learn how to guide our lives consciously and to be here protagonists of our existence. Today, we do it with alchemy. So let's see if Randy is here with me. Yes, we can see him, and you will meet different structures of the Alchemy School. Ranyo is one of the responsibles for the Alchemy Schools, and you will jump into a magical journey of knowledge and experience. So, Ranyo, can you reveal something what is expecting us? Like a message or a phrase for this special moment where so many people from different points of the planet are participating. So that's what we hear. Rania says, thank you very much, Dello. Welcome to everyone and welcome to this evening, to this open day of the Alchemy School. For those who don't know me, my name is Ranyo Latuga, which is Spider Salad, and I'm the coordinator of the Alchemy School, and I'm living in Damanhur since 25 years. And since I'm here, I'm studying and practicing, and I'm following this pathway of alchemy because it's a daily practice. It's a way, a pathway, teaching people the possibility of growth, of starting where every one of you is and to go to your next level. And Tello correctly referred to this historical moment, which from a couple of years is quite complicated because the energy is transforming the one of the planet and the one of people. And what's happening in these big moments of transformation? It's happening that there is a mutation, something, a moment of break happening with the one which was before, and what will come then afterwards. We are already inside of this new frequency, which is described from a lot of people at the golden era, the era of Aquarius, a new evolution for our human race, a new consciousness. And if you look at the common media, we find only destruction, chaos, and bad things happening. Yes, it's this switch in this moment for those who are not ready and for those who are not finding inside of them to turn to the right direction gets lost. So, and gives so that the worst parts come out of these people. And instead of embracing this moment, this energy, this new frequency, and to really start to fly to this much more evoluted and more beautiful direction. We are all of us who are here. We are born in this moment, historical moment, because we are uh, ready for this switch. We are made for it. And for every one of us, it's part of our mission. So to manage to pass from what's the old scheme to what will be the new one. Today, we have to incarnate and live this reality. To do so, we have the need of understanding. And that's why tonight, in Italy's evening, we will have different instructors tonight, and we will give you practically some directions, possibilities, which allow us to do that, to start to be more conscious about ourselves, of our potential, and step by step to learn to direct it. This is a bit what we will do. I will leave the space in a few moments to Tucano Noni, and then I will return. And at the end, you Gazza Solidago will join us. Why do we present different instructors? For those who know us, no, because alchemy is one of the biggest knowledges of the world, but it's so wide, so complex, so that every one of us developed his own specializations. So that's why every one of us will bring you a piece of himself, of herself, of her, his lived life, because alchemy, to be really true, it has to be lived, it has to be practices. I don't, otherwise it's just story, but it's otherwise it would be only theoretical knowledge. But when we speak about magic and alchemy, we speak about something which is expressed, which is practical. So said that, he says, I would like to invite Tucano. I will leave for the physical space so that she could start with the first part of our evening together. Convoy, as we say. Please, Tucano. Convoy says, Tucano, welcome to everyone. I would like to present you. I'm Tucano, this bird with this big peak, because in Damanhur, every one of us has the name of an animal. As it happens in the American alchemy, we take a ritual connection on a level of frequency. We make this connection to what is the mind of race, so the collective in consciousness of animal species, to have an exchange of characteristics. So I've chosen the tucano, which is a very happy and playful animal, which lives very well in a group. And the more my name is Noni, it's a plant, it's a fruit, where you drink also the juice. And besides one being of the co-founder of the Alchemy School, besides Ranyo Gats and other instructors, I'm a coach and a teacher of meditative techniques and hypno coach, and I'm occupying myself with personal transformation. And tonight I'm here to bring you an opening. What is alchemy in Damanhur? Very fast. and a practical part, which is regarding the elements. You know, the elements in all its chemical tradition, but also shamanic, they always have been considered. And today I will explain to you why. It's not by chance. It's not because it's beautiful, water, fire, earth, and so on. No, they have powers. They have the possibility to make us access to some of our powers. So for a shaman, for an alchemist to start its own pathway from the elements, from earth, air, fire, water, and ether is fundamental. It's like a fundamental step, yeah. And for this reason, you would need two elements. So here I have my candle, and I would like to invite you also to get a candle and a lighter. And then we will need a cup of water. I'm just showing to you. You need a little cup with tap water so that you can then do the exercise, practical exercise I would like to do with you, because just speaking is a bit too much. So I think it's better to even feel it of an experiment what we spoke about. So I give you a moment to get the results, the to get the tools. So the water and the candle. It doesn't matter which kind of a candle, and something to light it, and whatever cup you find. It doesn't have to be any specific, but you should put a bit water inside. And then we will start in a minute. I also would like to tell you, so you need a bit of privacy. So if you then do the exercise, it would be good to send other people who might be in the room out, or you go into a room where you're on your own, and you will need to sit down with the fire in front of you, in something where you put the candle on so that it's safe. So maybe in front of a table or something where you can have these two elements in front of you, or if you sit it on the floor, maybe on a little chair or whatever is safe to put a flame and the fire in front. So you also can sit in a comfy chair on the sofa and have in front a little coffee table where you put the elements, whatever works for you. So Damanhur, Damanhuran alchemy is a form of of magic, and it's a language the universe speaks. And as we are fractals of the universe, we speak it as well. What is this language made of? It's made of codes, universal codes, which can be sounds, which can be geometries, which can be symbols, which can be movements. And when these are used on an archetypical level, on an elementary level, as if you would go to touch the matrix of the forms. That's what's producing magic. So determined geometries are moving energies. Certain words manage to touch this archetype which is behind of this object, so giving you power on the object, and the same is valid for the gestures. So magic is dealing with that. Magic is using this language, but that's not enough, because surely the language per se is working, but there is existing a part which is we call rituality. So what does this mean? It means that a word, a power word, has its own power, but if I manage to repeat this in time, maybe even about centuries, a sequence of words. And besides to have their intrinsic power, they take up an time power as if they would layer up energy. So some sequences, gestures, words, use of signs, of geometries, etc., have a power which is even bigger than what it would be when you use it for the first time. So the ritual, the rituality is a level, it's a next level of that. And in the Damanhurian school of alchemy, we use a lot these aspects. So the language of magic, but also the ritual language, which has to do with sequences, which will repeat and which are repeated from millenniums from humans. So, and then it reaches to this density of time. But what's the difference between magic and alchemy? Why do we call the one like that, the other like that? Alchemy is the magic of this planet because in reality, magic is a language which is going out of this earth. There are other forms of our soul, of a human soul, but they have maybe different bodies. Maybe they don't have eyes, but they use different senses. So magic has its laws, has its principles, which can be the same in different parts of the universe. But then every single planet, and that's why it's the importance of the elements so strong. Every planet has his, like to say, have its own dialect, his own one based on its nature, on its territory, on the energy of its planet itself. So the speciality, physicality of the planet itself. So the forms of thought, the archetypes which are deposited in the universal library of the Akashic Chronic, maybe on another planet the toucans don't exist. So the effect to connect to myself to a toucan is a magical action, but it's in an alchemical way because I'm using elements of this animal, of this frequency of this planet. So alchemy is a form of magic substantially. Why do we speak about elements? The elements of this planet, for us inhabitants, are the transposition in power. In the spiritual physics, where we have books and courses, our esoteric knowledge, we call it the spiritual physics. This knowledge which is explaining what's behind the physical reality, the universal laws. So in this spiritual physics, we say that the elements are the first condensation of the laws. The laws which hold the physical universe together. And in this planet, there are 8 laws, and not to speak about something too abstract. There's laws like synchronicity, which I'm sure you have heard of speaking. So a law which gives the possibility to life to happen, because the likelihood gives us a lot of the chemical substances. So that life would start was only one of billions of possibilities. And synchronicity put the right substances, chemical substances together, created first reactions, organisms, and so on. So synchronicity is the one keeping together matter in one direction of evolution. So nothing is happened by chance, huh? Is the sense of this law. Sometimes it's confused with fortune. No, no, no. Synchronicity can also bring you also painful experiences, but maybe it's the one you need to have. And there are other laws, for example, the other law is the law of divinity. Divinity is what? It's something which allows forces which are not having anything to do with matter, but it allows them to live matter because we consider that every one of us has a divine part. Mm. Yeah, it's this sense of mysticism. So why is this law existing? So that the divinity can be outside of the forms, outside of time, but being at the same time inside of the forms, and so on. And there are other 6 different laws in the spiritual physics which hold the material universe together as we know it. In our planet, they're mixing in every form. There are the laws. So as every element would have a major connection with these laws. If I want to use, and here we enter in the field of magic with alchemy, if I want to use determined laws, I could ask this element to activate itself outside, inside of me to help me doing it. And another element. So the, we have 5 elements, we have 8 laws. So it's not really one element for every law. There's a different percentage. It's like a more easy translation for a certain law in certain elements. And that's why also the big magicians have the need to have a relationship with the forces of the elements and their intelligence. And you can contact them. But it's connected to our inner element because every one of us has physical parts of water and parts of your personality corresponding to water. In Damanhur, as in many schools of psychology, we consider the personalities a togetherness of different parts, which can also be identified with past lives or in a spiritual way, like the warrior, the sage, the more child thing, so the knight and so on. So the preciousness of them is the connection to one element. So to work with the elements outside of us helps us also to have power on these parts inside and recalling the ones we need. I give you an example. If we're in a period in which we are easy or we're very hyperactive and it's hard for us to stay still, then maybe it can be useful to connect to ourselves to the element water instead of the element fire, because it's kind of an too much of fire if we're very fiery, eh? So in alchemy school, we learn to have this power inside of us and rebalance these energies, because if it remains outside, we have less power. We have to apply it on us. I'm research on paranormal faculties. If I have too much fire, I'm hyperactive, says Tucano, agitated and so on. I will not be able to move an object with my thought. Huh? It's just giving you the example that I'm not centered in this moment. Yeah. But the same thing is valid for serious magical operation, because who cares about moving objects? But you have to find this equilibrium always. So there are appropriate rituals where you can learn that. Today, we work with the elements outside of us. In the Damanhur alchemy, you work with living forces of external elements around you, with elements and with the nature forces, with the animal forces, and so on, with time as a substance, with different parts, also art and so on, but you always use a testimony in the outside, as in ancient times in the alchemy, which was more public, because it was never the only form of alchemy. Let's say it was only the more obvious, like the alchemists transforming the plants, working with the metals and so on. But why did also in this alchemy they work with substances outside of you? The reason is that to the difference of meditation, where it's an inner work, alchemy is allowing to isolate, distill, and purify, alternate, unify, divide substances inside of us, because it's using on the base of one of the laws of magic that the likewise is responding to the likewise. So it's using a mirror on the outside. The principle is that it's easier for me to find my fire part if I have the fire in front of me. It's more easy for me to find my lunar lunar part if I have a charged water with the moon, or a plant connected to the moon, or so on. Because it's elements outside of me, and due to the law of the likewise response to the likewise, is reactivating the element inside of me. This allows me to isolate it and to work on it, working on the element outside of me. That's the reason why we work with the substances outside of us, with the bottles, the potions, and a lot of different elements, which we use with the staff and the wand of the magician. So, which magical instrument, which are catalyzations with my inner powers, and catalyzing it on one object, it allows me to raise my ability to infer um, in this object. Otherwise, it would be like Harry Potter, because it wouldn't be like have a real meaning. So it's like, also with meditation techniques, you do different things. But alchemy is a different story. With alchemy, you take one drop of this and two drops of that to create this third element. And to have this precision is easier to do it with things of outside. Our school of alchemy is working with time, with sound, it's working with essences of. It's a bit like, with a witch in the cauldrons. Yeah. Taking different aspects which help us, and we work with medianity. I can channel. Why am I using tarot cards? Because they're mirrors, because they allow me to um, to use messages which come to me. Why am I using the pendulum? It's not me moving it, it's my aura moving it. So because it helps me to see, to amplify what it's inside in me, but it's where I don't have access to. So our whole alchemy school is using this principle. Good. Now I would like to put your question. One question, which is, as we spoke about two laws, and if you read the book, if you did our books, or you will do them, if you're interested, it's very technical. You will then see the different laws. But speak about the two ones. which are easier to understand, which allows the divinity to enter into matter, and the synchronicity, which allows the event to chain up. Let's speak about the law of divinity. Let's choose this one, which I think is the clearest one, she says. According to you, if you think one element instinctively without thinking about it, just really immediate, an element which can be connected with a dimension outside of matter. Let's leave the ether outside because ether is an element which is more complex than the other elements. It's a bit like above the over the higher elements. So let's focus on fire, earth, water, air. Which element gives you this feeling of opening a door to a non-physical dimension? Which could it be? Which, according to you, is connected to a bridge between the body and a dimension which the body doesn't have. If you want to write it in the chat, there are a lot of people writing air in different languages. All are agree on air. Okay. Water, fire, earth. So there's a big majority of air. Also the fire, but water, earth, fire. Tucano says, let's say all the element have a transcendent part because there are divinities connected to fire, to water, earth, and so on. But I give you some information on the fire. The fire has power in magic to be a dimensional door. If you think of it, when you need to burn an offering, it's burning. You burn it. You put it in the fire and let it burn because it has this capacity to be a bridge. So the law of divinity is inside all the elements, as we said, and you can connect with all the elements in different ways, though, but still. But the fire is connected to this aspect of opening a door with an aspect which is more mystical, which is more transcendent with the spiritual planes. So the experiences which I would like to invite you to do is connected to that, to redo, to lighting a fire and stabilize a friendship or taking up a friendship again and feel it as a living creature and perceive it like an old friend, somebody which you know maybe for how many lives already and how many rituals you have already done together, but also in this life, maybe also only a bonfire on the beach or in the woods with your friends, but perceive the fire as something living, vivid, and able to give you answers. And besides recreating this relationship, which allows you to interesting things because the fire has also a connection with time. Because when you really become friends of the fire, you can a bit see beyond. You know, you can read the fire as you can read everything, of course, but this is a particular connection. So with this capacity of reading, that time flows. So let's open this relation. Maybe you have already super advanced relationship with the fire, but I would like to invite you to do this experience, which you then have to cultivate knowing it's activating inside of you this part which is more mystical, more spiritual, this divine part of you, and which will give you the possibility of lighting a bit the spiritual motor. The fire as a type of element is also in the school of element, is the first element in which we teach you to learn with, because then we work with all of them, because all of them give you access to different parts of you. I have a relationship with water, says Tucano, which is very moving. I'm really activating deep spiritual parts when I'm in connection with water and have a lot of history with it. But the fire is like the lighting up of the motor. So let's start with a motor and with a fire. So I would like to invite you to make a moment of presence and awareness, because otherwise your head, your mind will always interfere. So before you light your fire, I invite you to take 5 minutes where we close our eyes. You sit with an upright spine without crossing arms or legs, and you let yourself guide by the indications we will give you, which are following breathing, which gives you energy and which let you discharge all the thoughts of and the worries of the day, and bringing you to the very, very moment so that you really can feel this connection with the fire and the water, and activating for real, which is a bit above of what you would have like when you just light a candle like this. So we raise our percentage, so we're charging ourselves with energy through our breathing, cleaning our mind, and bringing attention to our body. So don't cross over hands, arms, or legs, because they create a block and it doesn't let you discharge your things. So sit comfortable, maybe your feet are a bit above. If you have anything which is tightening you, get it loose. With an upright spine, your hands laying on your thighs or on the side of you. And we start to breathe. And we let the energy go out by a good open mouth. And we're inhaling through our nose profoundly. So filling me up totally with air, and then exhaling from your good open mouth. And I'm emptying totally, to bring your attention to this breathing, inhaling through your nose, taking a prana, light energy from the universe, from the air, filling up your belly, your lungs, your breast. And then when you breathe out, you empty your belly, your chest, everything. And now I invite you to count till 6 when you exhale. And then you hold for 3 seconds the emptiness. You hold your breath and then you inhale, counting till 6. Exhaling, counting to 6. Holding 1, 2, 3. Inhaling. And exhaling, counting till 6, holding for 1, 2, 3, and again inhaling through your nose, and again exhaling, counting till 6, holding for 3, and inhaling. The next time when you exhale and you count till 6, and you will hold your breath, and then you will count till 6 even when you inhale, and you will hold your breath also when you've totally filled up with your air, counting till 3. So when you inhale and you exhale, you count till 6. And in the pauses, when you hold your breath, you count till 3. Try to take up this rhythm for a couple of minutes and bring all your attention what your body does. And your body relaxes, your face, your eyes, they all relax. You count and you breathe. Yeah, and then you're holding a breath. And when you're exhaling, and you're charging with your energies, and you discharge what you don't need anymore. And you discharge prana, and you count and you pump energy inside of you. And again, and everything discharges. You feel how your shoulders, your chin, everything relaxes, your whole body. You let your mouth really free, loose, open. And go ahead a bit. I know it can be a bit challenging. You can feel the tensions. Don't you worry. Let go. Let go and absorb energy, life, light. Inhale light, prana, vitality. It's recharging you. And you hold it inside of you for 3 seconds and let out everything which you don't need here and now. Empty yourself, then hold the emptiness. Create this vortex of emptiness which is still absorbing. One more minute to this breathing and imagine this life entering from your head and your nose, making its way to your arms, your legs, down your spine, revitalizing your whole body, physical and your aura. You're full of light. You inhale light, energy, vitality, and you exhale every thought, every tension, everything you don't need here and now, profoundly. Your mind is relaxing, your body lets go, the diaphragm is relaxing, your pelvis is relaxing, and let go. Now your breath to spontaneous breathing, still with closed eyes, and feel the sensation which you have in your head. Is it light? Is it heavy? Is it straight toward? Do you feel it full of energy or maybe not? Is it like heavy? Just listen to the sensation in your head without judging. Note only. You're an explorer of yourself. An explorer of yourself. And go into your neck, And observe your shoulders. And your arms, in which position they are. Just look at them. Connect to your body. In which positions are your hands? What are they touching, your hands? Do you feel the air on your skin? Now connect with your spine. In which position is it? With this inner sense of the touch, the position. Can you feel the breathing? How is it? Your thorax getting wider, up and down, the diaphragm relaxing up and down, expanding and contracting, and your belly. What's happening in your belly? And your back, your buttocks, your legs. In which position are there? Which sensations do you have? If it's warm or chilly, where your feet touch the floor, how is it? Try to feel these physical sensations of you here and now, totally present. Now observing. In this state of presence, of awareness. And take a deep breath and recall yourself inside of you. Ask yourself to be here and now present and call your own name, say it inside of you, and recall all your parts. And now I'm asking you to light the fire in front of you as I'm doing it, lighting this fire in this state of presence. And you put it in front of you, and I'm asking you to read it. And also the fire is present now, this entity, this fire force, this force of nature. And as you observed your body, I ask you to observe this element. Strange. It's a bit physical, but it's a bit non-touchable. Give it your attention, and through your eyes, which are doors, very simply let that it enters in you its frequency, its way of being, the energy, the emotions which you receive from this element, as if it's greeting a friend, and let it enter in yourself. Observe. And I ask you to put your hands on your side. I just have one, but have your both hands on the left and the right side of the flame. And your hands are antennas. Tokana is showing only one because she needs to hold the fire, but it's on the left, your right hand, put it around the flame and use your antennas to collect it, to feel it and absorb the frequency, the magic, the essence of the fire inside of you. Which sensation to give you the fire? and move, activate the fire inside of you. Which sensation does it give you? And imagine if you managed to close your eyes and fix the fire as you like. Feel that the fire is activating in you. How are you? How do you feel to be fire? Which physical sensations do you have? Which energetical sensations do you have? How is this energy? Which sensation does it have? I give you a moment in silence to uh, to create this connection inside and outside of you. Your power of the fire inside of you, how is it? The breathing is helping you when you want to amplify the sensations. You can help yourself with your breathing. Live the sensation of the fire. And now I ask you to close your eyes and bring in this sensation, this flame inside of you, and making it a fire which is mystical, sacred, a flame, an inner flame connecting you to superior aspect of yourself, divine, a spiritual flame. You can imagine, feel it inside of you. How is this fire from a spiritual point of view? This flame which can transform every single thing inside of you. It's one of its powers. And you connect to the more powerful parts in you. And now I ask you to reopen your eyes and to greet the fire with a gesture, with a thought, as you like, but to greet this entity. And you will find this element with this added experience you now did. And now leave the fire at the side. And now I ask you to bring the water in front of you. And we will do the same thing very fast with the water. With water, it's a totally different energy, and we will see the contrast. We do it just to that you have this experience of the contrast. bring your sight on the water and feel how it enters you, totally different than the fire. And you feel this energy of the water in this way of breathing it inside of the eyes. And you absorb this kind of fluidity, its characteristics, and with your hands closed, you can imagine to inhale this sensation of water as if they would enter in you, and you help yourself with the breathing, and it leaves this creature free, which is totally different from the fire, and let the water, this energy, enter in you and feel how it makes you feel. Observe with your hands, your eyes, with your breathing. You become water. It'll be your part. The water is entering in you. It's in a chemical exchange, and it will reawaken sensations, emotions inside of you, and I'll leave you a moment to live this sensation of water, of being water, when you're inside of your element, your water. Which power has your water? Feel your water part. Absorb it, this element from the outside of you, breathing it in, absorbing the energy through your hands, and you feel it inside of you. You are water. What are your characteristics of water? How do you feel when you are water? How does it make you feel? Let yourself go to this element and think with your closed eyes that you have it inside of you. It is inside of you now. Let yourself go with this sensation of you, water. Your part, most beautiful part in this case, connected to the element water. How is this elevated part, this power of water inside of you, how it's manifesting? Power doesn't have to be violent, it can be very pleasurable. Your part, this evolutive, this spiritual one, this beautiful one, connected to the water. Let it express for a couple of moments. Let it that is nourishing you and it's balancing with the others. And that it takes its space. And we will close this experience by thanking the water. And we reached a major connection, which you can then go on further to develop it. And if you've seen its different characteristics in the connecting more and more on different levels. And it's like peeling an onion, huh? Layer by layer, because every one of us has powers and beautiful parts to this evoluted part of yourself and to these elements. And this is a work of activation of these parts, which in alchemy are very important. And also to have a relationship with these elements allows us also to do operations where they will then help us to do certain things, as we've seen before. And I hope that this experience gave you a little taste and a mystic, a beautiful sensation. In alchemy, there are a lot of instruments, rituals regarding to the use of the elements, which you then can learn. But this was a little bit to give you a taste and to start to experiment that in alchemy you work with the elements, and why we work in general with something outside of us to work inside of us. And said that, I have to salute you. If you want to write some feedback in the chat, I will be happy, and I will read all that, of course. And I'll leave you to Ranyu, where she looks to, who will tell you about the alchemy of time, which is very, very fascinating, because in alchemy we use time as a substance, as an alchemical element. So I leave you with Ranyu, and I thank you very much for your participation, and we hopefully see each other soon again, says Tucano. Ranyu ante portas, here he is. Meanwhile, I hope you can hear me well in the English, ones who are listening. If not, just write in the chat so that I can make adjustments. And here's Ranyu. Here I am. And Tucano brought us a part which are connected to the general knowledge what's alchemy. And she spoke about practical examples of connecting connections to the elements which form us and the world where we inserted you. And from here on, this is one of the principal arguments of the alchemy school, because it allows us to put together what we call our alchemical laboratory. So that's a basis which on the first level of the school we face, and we go to explore the different elements more and more profoundly, more complex. So to find also inside of us and outside of us this connection so important, so with the 5 alchemical elements. And from here on, we will go on. Ranyo says, I will introduce in another very important element, which is the time alchemy. Why time alchemy? And why is it so important and fundamental in an alchemical pathway? After all, we bring this precision alchemical pathway. Usually you are working on the presence. I am here and now. And from there, you're amplifying what is the moment being. In the next levels, in the higher levels, when we speak about alchemy, we start to find that the humans are not only living in the here and now, but it's here and now. It's much wider than what we believe usually. The fact that our divine consciousness can open to different time directions. Yes, we're used to think time as a unique flow from the past, present, future. I'm born, I live, I die. Like the clock doing his daily turns, huh? 24/7. So this vision of time is true, of course, but it's very partial, especially as we can choose to move our consciousness in different time points. And here we start to introduce one of the most important arguments, which is time in alchemy is not seen as a unique flow, but it's seen and practiced as a territory, a space. We can move freely in space and time. So time itself, it's not closed for our race, it's open because we are also time creatures. What does this mean to be time creatures? What we said before, have the possibility to move, not with our physical feet, but with our consciousness in different points of time space, in time as an extension. So don't see it as a flow, but see it as a place. In 10 years, it will be a specific point. In 3 years ago is another specific place. You can give it names of places, of cities. In 10 years, we can call it Milan. In 5 years, we can call the point Turin. In 10 years ago, could be New York. So it's like places which we can reach. If we start to think of that time as a space, our visions changes, our characteristic changes of imagining time beings, not only based on here and now, but our here now is expanding in a way that it will comprehend, will take in our whole existence. So from we are born to till we are die, it's a unique creature, it's a unique being, and this being is alive constantly, living the past, the present, and the future. It's a oneness existing of. So how can we perceive that completely? It's of course not with our mind, not with our eyes, but what Tucano defined before, the inner senses, for example, the sense of the divine, the sense of the memory. That's what time alchemy is basing on, because on the sense of memory, which is not remembering something, it's a sense which gives us the possibility to open up to our bigger being. So to contemplate our different possibilities, our different essences, and so on. The interesting thing is, if we would go with our consciousness in a different point to what we consider the here and now, what we would see the center, we can move. We can move ourselves and make as time travelers and modify events and to create series of events which will modify our present, our past, our future, everything we are. So imagine that everyone is like a statue, but not like a statue of stone, like rigid, but it's like of clay, which is can be constantly can be transformed. So knowing and we can transform our memories because we developed as a human race and a beautiful science and knowledge and thanks also to change our memories. And there are different techniques like NLP and things like that to change it. But we in alchemy change what we are in different points of space and time, not to rewrite the memory. No, it's like adding, taking away different points of our being. And why can we do that? Because, as we say, because it's our nature. So, as we can move in time, and how can we move in time, or why can we do that? Because we, very simple, Cesarani, we can define ourselves of what we are, right? But in the past, also, for example, in the Bible, there is citation which was translated badly. I am what I am. So God is expressing this part, but in reality, in ancient Hebrew, where the text of the Bible comes from, the original meaning was, I will be what I will be. So, and that's very important, this difference, because this is inserting a fundamental concept that I am what I am is like what I do is defining myself. What I did is defining myself and I'm what I am. But I will be what I will be means opening an infinite world of possibilities. What means that it's opening the possibility of being what I want to be, what I will be. That's the beauty of the time alchemy, to generate what I want to be and not being fruit of choices of the past or a rewritten destiny or a pre-written destiny, sorry, but to come back to this ancient power of choice, the choice of a human, these splendid, famous questions we're saying, and if I would do that, and if I would do do that, if I is opening to imagination, to imagine something which is not existing yet, and imagination is the first act of creation. God, in its thought, created earth and all the things. But seeing that in all the philosophy, it's obvious that every one of us has a divine spark, has an incredible, magnificent divinity. We also have this seed of power, every single one of us, because we are a fractal of this immensity. And as a fractal, we have the full power of everything. The drop and the ocean. The drop in the ocean is made of the same element as the ocean. And the ocean you can break up in many, 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 many drops, but it's always an ocean. So these concepts, a bit philosophical, are opening us to possibilities, because time alchemy is done by possibilities. Every moment in the spiritual physics, etheric physics, is corresponding to 4 seconds. Every 4 seconds is a moment. It's like a picture of a big film. Every moment, every picture, what's happening, that we can open ourselves to 6 choices in front of us. Every single one brings us into different directions. And if I take choice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, we have this power of going in taking a new spiritual direction, physical, of life, of choice, because the biggest power of humans is the power of choice. On the highest level, the choice of the free will. The free will is the power which allows us to choose what we want to be. And not when you choose it, that you also manifest it and you express it. Why that? Because we have this divine nature, which is its only desire, is to express like a sun opening to the world, bringing life, warmth, light. Everyone is opening to that. And when we return to our source, and then from the human part, we return to our divine part, because it's always us. And it has this desire, this power of expressing, to manifest, because it has the power of choice, of the free will of the creation. Okay, so these are some of the topics of time alchemy, which are opening up to a lot of different visions and our potential. Tonight, what are we going to do? As you've seen in our lessons, there's always a practical part. Well, there's a theoretical part, he says, and then the practical part. Because in alchemy, as I said at the beginning, it's an aspect which you have to live, which you have to apply. It's knowledge. It has to be, knowledge has to transmute into consciousness. When we have the knowledge, when we express it, it then turns into consciousness. That's alchemy. That's practical magic. Okay? And we go in that direction. We go and experiment, yeah, to stretch our legs of our time, of us being time creatures. It's a very, very particular aspect, because in the moment when we learn to move with this characteristic, what can we do then? As we said before, we can create these sprouts in our past to bring energy, to modify events, or to create time bows, which brings us into a future we chose, not the destiny we are following, but we are choosing. We put the direction, the clear direction where we want to go, and we go there, following indications, following key events, which are nothing else than the directions which we find, like the street signs. For Turin, turn right, for Turin, left, for Turin, straight, 10 kilometers, and so on. He's speaking of Turin because we're close there. But it's like we can brighten up our pathway to make it clearer, to make it more understandable, more dense than to all the other possibilities. And as I said before, every moment we have these other possibilities reopening up and creating these eco worlds, these parallel worlds, and call them as you want. We can be anything we can imagine. But at the end, we choose. And even if we don't choose consciously, if we just go on, also that's a choice. And we trace like a pathway towards a direction. So what does this mean now? It means that thanks to time alchemy, as like passengers of a life, we can come back to be the pilots, the ones guiding your our own lives and choosing where we want to go. But to choose where we want to go, we have to know where we want to go, right? So time alchemy, we also have the possibility to use this trial worlds where our divine part is true that it's choosing one pathway and following that, but the others are like simulations, to say so. And I give an example for that. Now, in this very moment, I can choose to continue with this lesson and to bring ahead this part of teaching of time alchemy, and this is what we call like the most likely timeline. Why? Because I invited you to be, we sent you email and they said, oh, tonight we'll speak about that and we'll meet you and we'll show you things like this and blah, blah, blah. Okay? So I put a lot of attention, that presence, and I made this this line dense so that it happens. But I could also say, it's a bit hot. We'll go and I will have a drink. And we'll close the evening here. It's something I can do. I thought of it, and I can do it. Or I can do something differently. Change the argument and teach you something else. Oh, it came to my mind that, for example, alchemy of the body is more important than time alchemy. See, there are a lot of possibilities always. But what I said, the most likely one is that I will go on with my lesson about time alchemy, because it's fruit of choices in the past, fruit of energy, fruit of a lot of different things. To change, you have to put a new energy, a new intention. So in these other ramifications, which are possible, what is happening? That my divine part is simulating what it will could happen. And the example, I give you an example. There is in some timeline that I am a good musician. In this one, I tell you, I'm not. Says Ranyo, I'm not at all. I cannot sing, I cannot play this, but no way. I have other talents. But anyway, but I could imagine, I can imagine that I can play the guitar well. This kind of event, of this version of a possible Ranyo is existing in the simulation of my divine part. It's like as if would be an enormous like computer, to say so, which can imagine a lot of different possibilities, so that even in my dreams I can experiment that, even if I don't live it fully in the life I'm living now. But this information there, I can recuperate. So with time alchemy, I can move on a timeline where I'm a good guitar player, take this talent and bring it here. Do you understand how immense this possibility is and what possibilities it opens for us? What we can imagine, we can become. And if we can become that, our divine spark has elaborated it, has imagined it, has already a pre-result of it. So that's another possibility, is to go to collect fruits of different possibles of ourselves in our past lives, future lives, in parallel worlds, whatever it is. There's a lot. So I'm giving look like different sides to make you understand the vastness of this thread of alchemy. I'm developing it, Cesaranio, since our founder taught me that, and it's 15 years ago. And year after year, we experiment and we are finding new aspects. And it's important that we will we find them because we experiment them. These techniques, these experiences are new in our time and space. So in this famous 2025 where we live, in other points, it's Atlantis, the big time empires, our race, already since when we were little. In other times, it was taught to kids in our race not only to move with your legs, but also to move with your consciousness. And imagine what this means if we would be able to do that today. So, which power a person could have if the person would learn already as a kid these knowledges, this knowledge, to move also with their consciousness. Unfortunately, to me, and I think to the majority of you as well, you haven't been taught that. But that doesn't mean that from today on it cannot be different. So we can learn it now, and our kids could learn it even younger. And they don't have to have these mental cages which were put to us, but they could have this liberty to create, to manipulate, to generate themselves 100,000 times better than we did. As I said at the beginning, we are in a new era, and this new era is opening to new levels of consciousness for ourselves, for our race. But the knowledge is there, and they're obvious because it's not that we do it hidden. No, today everyone can learn it, experiment it, and do it. And for those who are asking me, I say, let's try together. If it works for you, then keep it as a gift and develop it, make it grow, a seed which is like growing a plant with a lot of consciousness. If you feel that it's not something for you, then you just leave it and develop a research and knowledge where you feel in synchrony with it. That's super important. And that's why the Alchemy School, we are a lot of instructors, for example, because every one of us brings a characteristic which is unique. Tucano spoke about the elements, about magic and some aspects of that. I'm bringing you this part of the time alchemy, and Gatsa afterwards will speak about the interaction with the forces and energies which are beyond of us. And here we're opening new ones. So every one of us is bringing specializations, and also you will find what are these points where you can hook on, which make your soul resound and vibrate, because there you start from, where you feel something which is resounding in you. When you feel this recall, this sensation, the truth I don't have, every one of you has your own truth, and you have to find out this truth. Us, step by step, with the experiences we have, we are helping you to do experiences. And we will give you tools to find your keys to that you can become future alchemists, starting from your characteristics. Because we all are similar but not equal. We're different. And this diversity is the biggest richness we have. And this diversity, when it's accelerated, understood, and giving to the others, then it's generating the biggest richness of knowledge and consciousness on this planet. Good. So I said, we touched a lot of different topics and different areas, and about the different possibilities. Now, I would like to do a little experiment, a little dynamic, let's say so, which allows us to move us in time and to give us a seed or to make a graft in time, wherever one is choosing you, to bring a research characteristic and energy. Maybe now, as you feel my words, something comes to your mind. But when I had like 10 years, and if I would have been more courageous, how would my life then have turned out? But if I would have been more extroverted, for example, or more concentrated in this moment, whatever it is, if I would have done this or that, what have happened? Now, I would like to invite you for this experiment to do a little exercise meditation to say so. It's a movement of our consciousness, which will bring us in a point of ourselves always, which is not in this very moment, which is it now. It's not a memory. The memory is a direction which allows us to move, but we will go, let's say, physically. We will move in the time and we will go there in this specific point of ourselves in a past which you will choose. And with the characteristics we have today, the answers we can bring there something, and we will speak to that. We gift a part of ourselves to ourselves when we are younger. I hope, says Rania, which is something you're interested in, and I would like to do it now here with you. Of course, during the alchemy school, we have instruments, we have knowledge, we have a lot of things allowing us to do it on the professional level. Now we do it a bit on the amateur level, let's say this, because we are we're doing the first steps, like kids. We are doing the first steps in time. It's a bit like playing around. And from there, please know that there are a lot of pathways. It's like learning to ride a bike. You first have a bike with this excess wheels to be stable, and then we learn to ride the bike and then even to fly a plane because it's different levels. And alchemy is based on knowledge and instruments which are created. Therefore, as Tucano said, time is also an alchemical element which can be used, can be taken and modified, plasmated, and so on. So there are techniques, therefore. Now we start to use what we have now. We use ourselves because ourselves, we are the magical instrument per excellence. We are the alpha and the omega, the beginning and the end. And of course, so Saranyu, as we developed for whatever, we created tools. We don't crack nuts with our hands anymore. We have a nut cracker. And instead of having to walk everywhere, humanity invented the wheel. And today we even have cars. So in alchemy, us as human race, we created different instruments which amplify. It's like a singer, sing with their own voice in a hall. But those who are singing in a stadium with 100 million people, 100,000 people, but you need a microphone. You have to have an amplifier to be heard by everyone. That's what do? They're amplifying always themselves, their voice. It's a result. Then instead of one, it's hundred thousands hear it because it's exalted their voice. In alchemy, it's the same thing. We have instruments which allow us to have a result instead of one, to have a result of 1,000, huh? Because you amplify your capacities thanks to the instruments which have this function. So the famous wands, or the staff of the magician, the time fractions, and things like that exist. Yes, they're existing, they're working, and you have to remember well, the amplifier of ourselves. And therefore, I'm saying to you, already now we can apply time alchemy because what we have is already enough. We have the time energy, we have the knowledge, we have the capacities of the energetical bodies which bring us and allow us to move with our consciousness in time. Now we'll do that. With a little bike with helping wheels, and one day we will use a Ferrari, to say so. But let's start with the baby bike. So, says Ranyo. Just a second. Yes. Ranyo is just explaining how to connect to the English version because somebody is asking. Good. Rania says he's hoped that I can follow him because he's taken away by his passion, but it's fine, it's fine. But now we slow down a bit so that everyone can follow really, really well. What do we know? What we need to move in time? A lot of things. But now we create an energetical body which makes us travel in time. And then we need an address. Now, every one of you thinks of a moment, a specific moment, which you have clear of your past, where you want to go. Every single one chooses one. It's a specific moment. It has to be very emotional. It has, whether it's a nice or a bad emotion, doesn't matter, but it has to be very strong and powerful. Why? Because the emotion, when we travel in time, when we have to move there, it's like fireworks. It's then easier to perceive it. It makes true a moment. And surely you will not remember whatever day where you haven't had a lot of emotional. No, it's emotion giving thought to existence, color to life. So choose as a memory. As I said before, we're not modifying the memory. The memory is like the direction, is like the indication of the address. I will go to Turin in Via Roma 31. It's a specific place. So come up with an event in your past which was very powerful emotionally. And the third thing we need is what you want to bring there and offer to this yourself of this very moment. What is it? What would you have needed in this moment, or what would you like to give so that there your existence changes, gets better? With time alchemy, we do these things. Here we start. Well, the first we will manage in the first one, maybe, who knows? Maybe we need a lot of times where we need to do that to have like the right angulation and to do that to bring a constant transformation. You know, sometimes when you do crafts, or when you're crafting plans, sometimes they work immediately, sometimes they don't, so you have to do it over again. So we will experiment the right way. Said that, let's create our time body. We will move thanks to the address you will have, and we will bring from here ourselves from here to this moment of the past, and then we put this craft and we then observe what has changed, or maybe what hasn't changed. That very much is that's the alchemical approach. Alchemists are practical researchers. It's not theory. Theory is not alchemy. Theory gives you the structure so that you then can experiment. Yeah? Good. Tucano also taught you a technique of breathing, which allows us to bring energy inside of us. So let's apply this also now, to start with the breathing, which is slowly and profound. Inhaling from your nose and exhaling from your good open mouth. Inhaling from your nose and inhaling from your good open mouth. And breath of the breath, we bring our attention from outside inside. So our sight is not connected to the weight of our body or to the sound around us or the air entering of us, the voices of Rania and me. No, it's connected to the attention, to this flame, this center inside of you, inside of every one of us. And breath of the breath, we bring this attention, this presence to us, to our center. And from there, everything starts. And we bring this attention, this energy, thanks to the breathing. The breathing, the chemical element of air, has the characteristics to transport the vital energy where we desire it. And breath after breath, we position ourselves in the center of us, and we start to imagine in front of us, like a meter in front of us, a bright sphere of a color you would like, you choose, you prefer. And this light sphere is connected with a silver thread from our solar plexus, connecting to this sphere, to this bright balloon in front of us. And breath after breath, we can feel how our presence, our consciousness is flowing into this sphere and filling up this sphere in front of us. And the breath after breath, this sphere, bright, is filling up with our consciousness of ourselves, because we can transfer ourselves in this time body of ourselves, in this bright sphere in front of us. And breath after breath, we give energy, vitality to it, and we feel our presence in our physical body, but also in this balloon, in this sphere in front of us. And we are inside this sphere, and we can move inside. In this place where every one of us finds himself. So we move a little to the left, to the right, reflecting like a bright sphere inside of the room where we find ourselves freely exploring, perceiving everything what is around us. And breath after breath, we are connected to our battery, which is our physical body, which gives us vital energy. But we are, with our perception, are in the sphere. And now, as we are freely traveling with these spheres, we tell ourselves the address where we wanted to go to. And breath after breath, we remember this moment of our past where we want to transfer ourselves as with our consciousness, and we see ourselves whom we have been, what we did, and breath after breath, yeah, we move. Thanks to this memory, our sphere is moving in space and time and goes in this point. And maybe we hear the sounds, the emotions of this moment, the beauty of this moment. When we have been younger. And there, our sphere is overlaying to our figure, which is younger, and offers it energy and knowledge, a marvelous thing, something special, a gift. And breath after breath, we make it richer, more beautiful, of consciousness, of energy, of whatever we want. And imagine that now we are in a different point of ourselves in another time. And we're communicating with ourselves. A gift, we bring a gift. And breath after breath, we live our motion totally of this new moment, of this new sensation. And when we feel that we deposited an information, an energy, a characteristic, whatever cause it was we wanted, our sphere starts to rise, and we can observe how time develops, and we can receive flashes of what our gift brought. And breath after breath, our consciousness turns where it started from to the here and now as a bright sphere in front of us, in front of our physical body. And now this sphere is getting closer to our physical body. And it lays over, it slips in like a hand slips into a glove, and we feel this energy. Our consciousness is totally inhabiting our physical body, our vital aura, our energetical bodies, enriched from this new experience. It's sufficient the moment. Moment of the moment, we can generate, we can create what we are and what we will be. We feel the air entering from our nose and exiting from our mouth. And we're doing little movements with our hands, with our neck, our feet. And when we feel, we can reopen our eyes. Welcome back to Here and Now, what we call our focal point. But as you've seen, we can move freely. It's an experience which is interesting, right? Because step by step, when you learn how to move freely in time, we can explore, modify it, as we do in our daily life, as we do in matter, sorry, in different points of time. But it's plasmated. It can be collected, transformed, a lot of things, because alchemy allows us to do so. But the beautiful thing is that it allows us to modify ourselves. Because remember, our life is not written in stone. Think of it as clay, this wet clay, which you always can modify when you want. Of course, when you want, as a choice. It's a conscious choice which allows you this incredible artwork, which is our life, to change it. And you can ask yourselves, and if I would do this or that, and if, there, the world is opening of the possibilities. So I'm inviting you to create your reality and not living dreams of others, but live your own dream, realize it. Because everyone will tell you, you do that, you have to do that, you have to do that. Okay. But is that what you really want to do? Choose to live your dream, your own dream. That's one of the big characteristics which time alchemy gives us, the possibility to imagine and to generate. Good. I hope, says Saranyo, that this little experience was pleasurable for you and gave you something and left something for you and left a little seed, and which allows you to go ahead and it's experimenting which allows us to open to new worlds. And thanks to alchemy, Rania says we're opening for real to worlds which you're not used to know. Now, I'll leave you in the hands of Gadzo for the last phase of this experience. She will open you to new worlds and new experiences and to new possibilities. The last thing I would like to tell you, receive, as you know, you will receive a mail tonight, tomorrow, because at the end of September, the new pathway starts, the new class, and I hope that a lot of you whom I'm seeing you on the screens will be part of this new experience. So I invite you to experiment, and I experiment to participate. And for those who feel that alchemy could something be for you. And the first weekend, so the introductory course, is what we call the starting point of the pathway. It's open to everyone, so you can experiment that and then decide upon that whether you want to go ahead or not. So whether you felt that this pathway is something for you and you want to continue, or you choose something differently. Gadza, to you the word. I'll leave you. I'll leave you the screen, the thing. So Gadza just has to open her mic. And I'll be back at the end, says Ranyo as well. I say with you, and I hope that you can hear me well with the English translation. Maybe somebody who's listening to me can give me like a visual sign. Thank you, Petra. I see you, Christine, Maha, Sabrina. Fantastic. Thanks, guys. That's always good to have a little feedback. Yes, there she is. Convoy to everyone, says Gansa, and welcome to this last part of this. My name is Gansa Solidago, and I'm passionate of alchemy since a lot of years, since ever, she says. And I would like this evening to share with you an aspect which is very special, which are one of the research fields of Damanhur, which is for me more original or very passionate for me, even if this matter which we speak about is like an art, a discipline, and knowledge which is very ancient, and it was known by all these civilizations in the past. It was used by Arabs, Etruscan, Egyptians, Celts, a lot of different cultures, and you still find traces today. It's a knowledge which is embracing millenniums as alchemy and a lot of human history, and also Celtica. This knowledge is ancient, and you say it's like the mother of alchemy, if we can say so. It's including inside the alchemy. So as alchemy is operating on four elements, depends on how many you want to consider, like the four elements, as I said, the fundamental ones of the universe, or the fifth element of the ether. So Selfica is operating with eight, as is like in this sense, is like the mother of alchemy, because alchemy is remaining in its inside. This ancient knowledge. I just said slow down a bit because we want to translate every word. Huh? This ancient knowledge is one of the fields of research of Damanhur, which is more fascinating, because from the first applications in the ancient history of this art, in Damanhur we developed it continuously, constantly, and researching it as if we would have taken up this knowledge and brought them ahead step by step in our research, and also the use of the same knowledge. And inside of the alchemy school, we will use as well this art, this knowledge, to manage to reactivate faculties which are inside of us, which are buried, and which like are more sleeping inside of us, which can have thanks to this help, can be more easily developed and reactivated. But what is this selfica I'm speaking about? What is it? Practically, she says, thanks to the use of instruments which are made out of metal, of copper, gold, silver, with different metals, creating structures using a spiral form as a base and 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 using specific measurements, we can recall, we can catalyze intelligent energies which otherwise would not be able to contact us, and then can have precise functions from singles, bracelets, like the health bracelet, helping us like with our different problems, like with a back pain, a neck pain, or a stomach or intestinal, whatever it is. But we also can develop faculties, possibilities, for example, also in the dream, because we dream like a third of our lives. So something has to be there, right? So which goes beyond the simple physical use of the dream by, cleaning up and relaxing us, but there must be something else. So we think it's astral travel with our subtle bodies, but also for the environment, like the environments, the houses, the places where we go, where we pass, is absorbing frequencies, emotions, which can be re-equilibrated, brought back into a balance. So imagine that we develop this research step by step. We studied different research fields. We studied the aura, as all our geometries are made. It's very fascinating because on an energetical level, we are in the same level as we have on our physical plane. And while we were researching in all these fields, says Ganza, we developed these little bracelets, like one for the aura, or then there was the incident of Chernobyl in Europe. And we developed bracelets against radioactivity, because there are a lot of different influences always around us. So the more and more we researched about personalities, all this knowledge about inside of us, so we developed a bracelet which helped to harmonize these parts inside of us. So imagine 50 years of research in Damanhur, and on the 1st of September we celebrated our 50th anniversary, and we put all this knowledge together, and we developed a lot of different selves with different functions. And for example, Gaza is showing a bracelet. It already has 3 functions inside, otherwise we would like line up all our our arms. So it's a research field which is very fascinating and always in development, and it's very dear to me, she says, because I got to know Damanhur thanks to the selves, and I'm living in Damanhur since 40 years, she says. But I heard about the existence of Damanhur because a friend of a friend, I was still at university, And she had these bracelets, and I was really fascinated by this form and by this particular appearance. And I was like, oh, what are they? The Celtic bracelets. And she said, there, they come from Damanhur. So then I came for a weekend to visit, and from then on, it's history to say so. And now I'm here 40 years already, he says. But that's a different story. So the Celtica always attracted me, says Gaza, and it's knowledge. It's an art, it's a spiritual technology, it's a knowledge. We can describe it in different ways, which, at least for me, it's very dear and interesting. And as I was saying, these structures are able to catalyze energies, intelligent energies. And here, before I demonstrate, show you some historical pictures. Which kind of energies could this be? What does this mean, intelligences, which are recalled by these spiral forms, by these precise mathematical built structures? It's like little circuits. It's little uh, bracelets made in this specific way to corresponding, and they're catalyzing this function. And some of these characteristics of the alchemist is to have an open mind and to manage to take nothing for granted and to manage to see reality uh, not on the pages of the book, but on the back of the book. Yeah, like to see these different planes of reality and not to have this linear vision, yeah? But to have also a personal vision. So Gata says, enlarge your mind, the possibility that in ancient times, once upon a time, as you say so, in a more far away and long way time, humans were connected on a natural way with the trees, with the plant world, connected with the nature spirit world, connected to all the different rains which are part of this world, and also connected to other dimensions, connected with other forms of energy, maybe which are further away, which once in a natural we maybe have been closer to us, because humans in these ancient times to an ecosystem in a very natural way. Today, as we will be, we seem distant from it, from this unity, which is actually part of us. And we feel this, we feel that there's something missing, and maybe we're searching for somebody, for something. So I think it's what we're missing is the spiritual nature in these cases, where we come from actually, and which is part of us from our being, and where which we have to come back to in a certain way. And alchemy can help us there, can help us to recreate the spiritual roots, huh? As if we would live today in a world without roots, a bit, without connection. That's the missing part. It's a bit the time to reconnect with ourselves, find new relationship with us, with ourselves, reconnect with nature, with the plant world around us. And imagine that we have chosen each other with the trees, and we can have a symbiosis with them, and and like our breathing circle and their photosynthesis is a symbiosis, huh? And we are nourishing each other on this planet, but also romantically to say we are from a unity, we are a oneness in English, which is profoundly ours, and we're missing that. But with the tree, the plant world, with the nature spirits, we think that we are very intelligent as humans, right? But maybe the trees are even more intelligent than we are. And we think that we managed to realize so many things, which is true. Incredible capacity and intelligence of humans. But with this alliance with nature spirits, without this alliance, we wouldn't have any fruit, anything like fruit, like vegetables, whatever, without an alliance of this kind, of a reconnection with all this ecosystem, physical, material, spiritual, which is around us, we are really very poor, and we're very far away from our actual nature, and we don't manage to express what our potential is because we are disconnected. So to find this connection with ourselves and this exchange with the plant world, with the world of the spirits, and also other alliances, other energies, and other animals which are with us and have the same level of complexity. You can imagine elephants, the whales, the dolphins, these life forms which are a bit like us, these big actors of this play, because they have sufficient memory, they have a certain complexity. With complexity, I mean a certain duration of lifespan and the connection with the beyond. You know, the cemeteries of the elephants, yeah, they have this connection to the beyond, to the deceased. So renovated to an ancient future, and as we lived and how we expressed it and how we can express our hearts, and we are a bit far away. And Selfika is one of our friends to reconnect ourselves, to recreate connections, and to be like an intermediate, and and which can help us in this mission, in this project, in this coming back to the completeness which is part of us and where we can come back to. I would like to ask now Tilo that I can share my screen with you, because I would like to show you a couple of pictures of selves and the devices. The Selfika is the name of the art, of the discipline, of this knowledge, and the name comes from a sacred language, an ancient language, which says the third cell is the first word, 3 letters. It means inhabitants of metal, those who live in metal. Self means spiral in Sanskrit. So it seemed for us the perfect name for rename this ancient knowledge, which was already known in ancient times. Before COVID, we had more opportunity to travel the whole world. Now, luckily, we can do that again, but these pictures are from a couple of years ago. And it's pictures we took in our journeys in different museums, which and we found it really incredible what we found in the museums, like these traces that we found different selves of different times, and it was a surprise. So Gaza is showing the same measurement. The spirals a bit like the cousins of the Selfica, but let's leave the spirals apart. I'm showing you some of these pictures. They're always in a spiral form and always used with metal. So here is from the 15th to the 13th century before Christ. That's a bracelet in golden. More often they're made of copper. That's the 2nd century before Christ. That's also 13th, 12th, before before Christ. This is like 100 to 70 before Christ. You can see this that's identical to one of the Selfka we're using today. We don't know from where it is. And I'll just show you some pictures so that you have images to transmit you, like to get the feeling for that, and to show the period in some places. Not always we know they're from the Caucasus, but just to make you understand that from so many places. That's a bit a custom from an instrument we're using, which is called this, and that's also very much recalling the bracelets or rings we use. They are found in Greece. That's identical to bracelets for kids, because we also have these devices for the kids. And here we see different pieces as if they imagine like little motors. You have to put them together so that they work. You can see like it's a layout as these ones. It's like the 13th century before Christ. That's a bronze area. And the 9th to the 12th century before Christ. So old, huh? And that's also identical bracelet we using. And we have, for example, bracelets for this for the sleep. So when you sleep very little, so that you regenerate in the same way as if you would sleep more. So the description which are made here are symbolic objects, symbolical objects, perfectly formed. And you can see that it's super precise down the spiral, this mathematical, which can be symbolized a cosmic cycle, because the science of today lost a bit the knowledge of this basic knowledge of the Selfica. And imagine this was 3,300 before Christ, and it was used. The last ones who used it was the Arabs. closest to us. And then afterwards, also the Arabs have been big alchemists. Gaza says, if you have seen the Alhambra in Spain, for example, you remained in this incredible beauty and all these formulas which are written there on the walls, which are alchemic formulas written in poetry. So the Arabs knew, had this knowledge, and it was unfortunately also lost. But luckily, we recuperated it, and our founder recuperated it when he was quite young, as if he remembered like this big alliance and recreating this important connection, which have these different applications here. And here we go. We're in the 7th century before Christ, the Bronze area. I could go on and on and on, she says. But I didn't want to bore you. I would like, she says, to show you a bit of the historical selves of Damanhur. So a bit we have these old ones. So we have a little archive. So these are like the first selves in Damanhur. You see that it was very similar to ones we have seen. That's from our archive. That's a transmitter of prana energy. And what you've seen, this can give an different interpretation to the spirals which we have seen in the pictures of the museums. And here we have pictures, other selves. Can you see how simple they are? Running now they're much more beautiful because we added also the beauty to it, not only the functionality. But without these first experiments, we wouldn't have arrived to today's level. These are different ones. Gata says, I love to these things. It looks a bit like pieces even from these old museums, right? So they're made like this. And with a precise number of spirals calibrated with the length of the thread and the size of the windings and all this stuff. So it's a real mathematic behind that to understand. So which is then able to catalyze this kind of energy. So this is the first bracelets, which we did with the function to harmonize the aura and so on. And to harmonize the sensitivity, sensibility. It's the and it's the ones which brought me to Damanhur. But what are they? So I'm fascinated. Do you have any questions? I'm speaking about so many different things. I would like to give you also the voice to you. If you have any questions. You can also open your mics, raise your hands, or you can write the chat. There is a question, says Gadza. Maha wrote, how do you measure the frequency? So we started with practical experimentation. We didn't have scientific laboratories. Today, after 50 years, we can say to measure the energy is a dream becoming truth. We're organizing, for example, a conference, which is on the 20th of September in Damanhur, around the autumn equinox, to inviting a lot of experts on a confrontation and discussion about energies and how you can measure them. And it will be super interesting, I guess, very fascinating, because we can, with the instruments of today, we can arrive there. We always based our researches on a big group of people and collect the feedback. So a large group of people, and based on their feedback, on their experiences, they were collected and the empirical research was done. And from this feedback, we developed like the next steps over and over. And only if a sufficient number of people reported certain stuff, then we could assume that it was true, right? So this is an ancient research in Damanhur. All the researchers. I would like to speak about this ancient future because the knowledge is nothing which starts from zero or we invite. No, it was always there. There is always a basis which is handed over, which is transmitted. I don't know if I tell you the story how it went. You can believe it or not. As in, like, the founder of Damanhur, since he was little, had moments of reawakening of his memories. And he wanted to know what was happening and why this happened to him and why he dreamt of this, and then he thought of it and then it happened, and all this research and all these things. And his friends, he was he didn't have brothers and sisters, so he occupied a room of the hall for his experiments. And he had different laboratories on under the ceiling and wherever in this whole house. And only 3 years before he died, he opened up all this his story and telling in 33 little events, episodes of his life, how he managed to have this childhood adventures, how it came to his memories and his reawakening. And there we read a lot about things we didn't know before. So because he wasn't very reserved on that, he always encouraged all the Damanhurians to research on their own, and that's a central fact in Damanhur. So he always said the master is inside of you. Yeah. So, and he put always questions to us, and like this on different flashes he gave us in different dates, and he spoke about different arguments, and he left for us the pleasure to keep them and make connections and to experiment. And he wrote this book, which is called The Tales of an Alchemist. And he defines himself as an alchemist. And the first of these chapters is speaking about how he made this or recreated this alliance, this connection with the Selfica and with the spirals. And it's a bit, they are like parents a bit. They are related. Hmm? And he's also telling that one day an elderly came to his house, and he lived alone with his parents, and gave to this young guy a trunk with books. I don't know if I have reacted as his mom did, says Gaza with my kid, but she was very open and took this trunk of books. And while Falco was called Roberto when he was young, and while he was reading these books, the writing on the pages disappeared. You don't have to believe that, but that's what he is. Of the little things he shared of his personal life with us, because he was never liked to show off and be like, on a stage. And in these books, there was some measurement, maybe some circuits, some help in these books where the pages disappeared, which like refreshed his memories or helped him for the first experimentation for the Selfica devices. So I can say, to respond to your questions, Maha. So how to measure the frequencies? I put some of the Selfica today. They posted also the link where you can see all the current ones, so you can see the development. Tasso is saying, what is the importance of the number of coils in each Selfic device, historically and practically? What is happening by creating this connection to the body, the wearers? Because it says before, well, I would like to say a Selfica. Well, it's not the goal to sell here the Selfica, but you would have to experiment that in first hand. It's not that you buy it, it's a bit like you adopt it. Yeah? It's like if you would get a dog or a cat, it turns into an entity. It's something with which you have an exchange. Yeah? And it's a real exchange. Yeah? As Vassos asking, what's happening in this connection? And it's an exchange. The self gives its this function, what it's made for. It helps me for the function it's made of, which I chose it for. Yeah, it's like an expert. In this case, a bracelet of harmonization my aura, helping my immune system, defending me against certain thing, whatever it is. Huh? And for exchange, I give a little bit of my fractions of my really little fractions of my energy, like a nourishment, and the self are very curious to live on this planet, to make these experiences here. They come from very far away in the galaxy, So I love to say they come from a VIP planet, huh? Because it has a lot of magical, interesting characteristics where they come from, these forces. And they're interested to make an experience here. And the self, I would like to say they do things willingly. They like to do that. You know, I have to do something. They don't know this, not having the will or not, you know. No, they are here. They do it always and very willingly. They have a joy which is in doing stuff which is constantly. I wish we would have that, right? Ma. But this characteristics, Gaza says, is me. It's teaching a lot, huh? And I receive also this feeling of this pleasure of being and the joy and what is useful. Yeah, that's the importance. What's the importance of the number of the coils? It's giving the body. I'm made with the liver, with an anti-stomach, heart, lungs, blah, blah. And the different parts of the circuit is like parts of the body of it. So the coils are defining the body. It's like the components, the specific components of this device, which in its togetherness are operating for this function, doing this specific thing, what it's created for. I would like to cite, which not everyone knows, the Temple of Humankind, for those who know it, which are this incredible under-earth complex dug by hands by Damanhurians in this years of history, and it's the biggest selves in the world. It's like the mom or the dads of, like the parents of all the selves. Imagine then it's contract in this. I don't know if you have heard speaking that it's like dug by hand, and where the rock was, we added through art meanings. It's like a huge book, and it's celebrating and it's telling the history of humankind, of a human being, and the whole journey which we can do inside of ourselves and it's under the earth to reawaken our parts, our divine parts, to reawaken the divine in us. And in the construction, in the halls, in the physical structure itself, there are kilometers of self-fixed circuits, of wires, of coils. So the temples is an incredible selfic antennic planetary, we can say, because like kilometers of self-fixed circuits, which makes this art piece not only a temples on a alchemical laboratory, not only the representation of ourselves, of a human, because we are fractal of the universe, but not only a lot of different things, but also this Ramba, a big self. So also in the temples, you find specific coils in the walls, in the cement, in the concrete inside. Historically, this was, let's say, one of the first actually selves we built. For those who don't know, I put the link also in the chat. Thanks for your question, Sasso. If anyone has a question, you write in the chat, or you raise your hand. Gaza says it's difficult to imagine. I was speaking about the joy, about these feelings of this love they have doing stuff. It's difficult of, I think, she says, to imagine that a metal structure but metal seems a bit run just a second. I get to your note. She says there's another field which is very interesting of the Selfica, of which we use also in the alchemy school, because we take some parts from other schools, other teachings of them, other knowledge of Damanhur, because alchemy is a science which is occupying with everything. There is nothing which is not alchemical. From sleeping to eating to living to dying. Death is the last alchemical transformation before we pass to a new journey, as if we would live to learn to die. And it's a big, huge alchemical passage. And as I said, says Gaza, that the cells can bring feelings, but there's one application of Selfica, and as I said, we will use that in the school, where the cells are holding a course. And we're only the facilitators, translators, to say so, of the cells, but it's the cells holding a course for what? Of course, you can imagine you use the temples, so that's a course which only can be held in Damanhur, physically in Italy. And it is, of course, the possibilities the cells give us to reignite the faculties which are buried in us, as if we would have everything ready, but it's not, we don't have the possibility, the capacity from our own to access these faculties, to these powers, these senses, let's call them, as if we would have like parts of us which we forgot of having, and that's why we're not using them. So maybe it happened to one of you, you know, when you break a bone. A friend of mine, she broke her pulse, and she couldn't use it anymore because due to complications, and she's still doing rehabilitation to retake the function of the pulse which she had before. So imagine to have possibilities, senses, faculties which you haven't used for all your life, like only speaking for this life. So even in other lives, maybe in other lives we still use them, who knows, but faculties we're not using, which are there and which are not lit, they're like sleeping. And Selfica can help us to reactivate and relight them, these our faculties, which are in every single person. And this is a big thing, right? As if we would missing parts. So we're super perfect motor, but there's not like a connection between the different parts. Our parts are disconnected. That's the problem. And the Selfica is let's say romantically, these are these friends who give us a hand to help us to reconnect these separated parts of ours again. An occasion for the alchemy school. Interesting, like, which we don't let us take away. And we use the Selfica also in the alchemy school to put together our laboratory and to relight these faculties to come back to these roots which are part of us, and to come back to be this complete being, this human with a capital H, humans, with this ability to use completely our laboratory, what it is for real. And Selfica is in this course, in this school, or the course they hold, is expressing feelings which are profound, and it's really difficult to describe that in words, to put that in words, but I hope that I transmit to you this love. Even if love is a very used word and used maybe even too much for banal things, but like it's a capacity to fuse parts, to parts, mix it with these feelings, with these emotion parts, to help us to express ourselves. We're humans, and we are producers of the substance, the most precious substance in the universe, which is love. And we forget how to do that, and we don't have any instruments, therefore. So they are helping us and teaching us also that. And as Falco, it's not only one thing. Huh? Uh, so you hit with one stone, you hit two birds, huh? In Italian, you get with one bean, two pigeons. But Falco says with one, you get five. So it's at least five things. Huh? Not one, two, five. So I've seen Ranyu appear again. Woohoo! So as you already will, almost at the end. Oh my. Ganze is referring to your question, is opening a huge chapter, which I am not can respond briefly. I would love, because I don't want to simplify it too much. Yes, it's possible to move in time. It's a chapter because time is one of the topics of the alchemy school. It's actually the whole second level dedicated to it. And Rana says, we actually spoke about that before, and it's full of a lot of different things, which I can tell. Yes, yes. The answer, very simple, is yes to your question. But for the details, you would have to stay tuned in the alchemy school. So Rana says, thank you very much, Gaza. Thanks for your presence. Yeah, sure. Perfect, Brian. So greeting, Gaza, says Rania. So the last moments of this evening together, I would like to thank you for this experience we did together. here. And as you have seen, there are a lot of arguments. Gadza opened a whole world, and she started from the history of the self, speaking about little but spirals of, and all these different parts. In fact, in the alchemy school, the pathway and also getting closer to these intelligences is part of our training because it helps us, and some of them which we use to amplify our potential, to remember what our nature actually is. And it's this like these crutches we use to, for those who have a broken uh, leg, you use crutches to walk till you heal. And the selves are a bit like this for us also in alchemy, to train our muscles, our energetical parts, to retrain them and be able to use them again. So the alchemy school is like a training or trainer to refine this potential, either to move in time, as we've seen a little before, or to learn how to communicate with forces which are different to ours. And different doesn't mean more or less intelligent, just different. So we are part of an spiritual ecosystem, which the more we are aware of it, the more we can participate in it. So starting from Tucano was teaching us about the elements are the keys to connect with the laws of the universe. The thought creates as above, so below, the likewise recalls the likewise. It's these laws which are governing our universe, and thanks to all that we can express our potential. To do so, we have the need of studying, application, knowledge, living it, and that knowledge becomes consciousness. So it's a bit, thanks to the citations I made before, I wish you and all of us to imagine the best version of ourselves and to live a marvelous life. The instruments which alchemy offers us are really amazing. And for those who feel that there is a recall, there is something, now is the right moment. You're very welcome to participate in a group, because the group is exalting the individual, and it allows us to have capacities and to confront ourselves. Together we are force than just a single one of us. So I wish you a good continuation, and I thank you in the name also for the other instructors, those who have been present, those who have not. And I invite you to participate in our school, or at least sneak in at the first weekend, so then you still can decide afterwards. So there's in starting of the pathway. And for those who have pleasure to continue, thank you very much to everyone, and looking forward to seeing you soon, wherever and whenever. Come, boy.